Avi Meyers, North Town Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Check us out on the web at ntnm.org. There's over 1,000 videos that you can watch over the last 8.5 years. CommunityPolicingCaps24.org. And this has been a common theme throughout today. Today seems like Facebook Day, because so many of my guests are people I've run into initially on Facebook, including my next guest, who is a lawyer and an author of a very interesting new book, Cary Berman. How you doing?
How you doing, Avi? Thank you again for on the show. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And why don't you tell us about the book?
Okay, the book basically is a book I wish I didn't have to write. The book is called Genesis, Born with Tay-Sachs. And I think it's apropos because I'm Jewish, and I was born in Genesis. And I had this disease at the beginning of my life, so I call it Genesis, born with Tay-Sachs. Tay-Sachs is a disease that it's prevalent in predominantly Jewish. Although others well, as far as infantile Tay-Sachs, it's a terminal disease by age 4. And at the time my mom was pregnant, they didn't know what I have right now. I think they call late onset Tay-Sachs. And they didn't know about that at the time. So if my mom would have had a test when she was pregnant, I might have been aborted.
Wow.
It's a possibility. In fact, when I found out I have late onset Tay-Sachs, I was 250 in the world. And it's very disconcerting having a disease and not feeling well, and then having to explain to the doctors, and you know more about it than they do. I had one doctor tell me, "You can't have Tay-Sachs, you'd be dead." And I said, "Doctor, I think I'm alive." So I'm actually teaching doctors, Avi, about this disease. Thank God, so far I'm feeling better. There have been times where I'm an attorney, and I won the first case in Illinois on a murder case.
Wow.
But there are times I've been in disability for 5 years, and there's times I go, Judge Myers, and I'd forget what I was going to say. My whole memory was erased. So I went all or nothing. I actually feel better now than I did when I won the first case in Illinois.
Wow.
So.
And how long ago was that first case in Illinois?
That was 1991.
So this has been a while already.
It's been a while. I'm very lucky. I go to a holy water called the mikveh every day for like an hour. Most people go for a couple minutes. I go for an hour. That's my closest time to God, is in that period of time. I'm not taking any medication except for very, very little.
Wow. And
that is my medication. And I'm lucky because others with my disease are in wheelchairs. Some have passed away. I'm feeling better. And I'd say this disease has gotten me more religious, and all I could say is I'm taking nothing, and the results speak for themselves. Ipso loquitur.
Yeah. Well, thank God for that. And by the way, I hate to put in a plug for this because I usually don't mention it on the show, but when you talk about how you could have been aborted, actually, if people knew about the disease, you're not exactly a spring chicken these days.
No, I'm not.
And, it's proof positive that just because something looks a certain way at a certain time doesn't mean that there isn't hope and prayer and all sorts of things that can affect us in a positive light.
Right. Well, what I've learned in my religion is I believe everything is for the good. My name is Akiva, Hebrew name. And Rabbi Akiva said everything is for the good. Even when bad things happen, they're for the good. Everything is for the good. God is only good. So I figured, I believe that you and I are creations. We're bound by the concept of time. I believe that God is not bound by time. If I take this water cup and go like this on the right side, it takes you a couple milliseconds to see what I did. God knows exactly what I've done because he's not bound by time like we are. So I think, as far as time, I believe that it's been a very bad time in my life. Now things are going very good. As bad as things were, as good as things are going now. I wrote a book, over 100 pages.
What's the name of the book?
It's called Genesis, Born with Tay-Sachs.
Genesis, Born with Tay-Sachs.
Right, and it's by Cary Berman. It's my English name. And it's published by Infinity Publishing. So if someone wants to get the book, go to Infinity Publishing, put Genesis, Born with Tay-Sachs, and Cary Berman, and you'll be able to purchase the book.
Very good. In terms of, by the way, you brought up another point earlier that I wanted to expand on. I had an uncle, a very holy man, who worked for Slobodka Yeshiva in Israel, who always made the point to me along the lines of what you said from Rebbe Akiva, speaking of, that everything, in Hebrew, it's everything is latova, which means everything is for the best.
Okay.
And even if you don't understand what's going on and it seems bad at the time, you know, there is a greater depth and meaning. I mean, some people need a struggle or a hardship or some adversity to be able to thrive from there. And because God can see everything and we can't see everything, we may not understand exactly what's happening and how that's going, but that is the case.
I think I'd also like to expand on that more. The premise of my book is God's greatest creation is a human being, and God's greatest gift is the freedom of choice. I believe that, like I say, God's creation is a I don't know of no one who does not have a challenge in their life, be it health, financial, or familial. Everyone has a challenge in their life. I think that's God's way of letting us go higher.
I agree. Even being rich can actually be a burden in some ways.
Absolutely.
You know, I actually, I went around in '98 with J.B. Pritzker, who's really a great guy. But, you know, I took him to all the different Jewish events and things like that. And I did it when he ran for Congress, and I did it basically in return for his giving a large donation to the charity of my choice, which he came through on. And then some. He topped what he said he was going to do, which I appreciate. But, you know, he is so besieged by people seeking his money that there's a Hebrew word, menuchas nefesh, which means, you know, your soul is at peace. There are so many people after him all the time for his money that he doesn't live as peaceful in a life as you might think. There are obstacles even to guys like that.
Absolutely. I believe there's nothing secular or sanctioned about money, good or bad. I believe it's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have. I know people who have nothing who say they don't want anything. If you ask a righteous person, give him $1 million, he'd probably use it for heat. He has no idea.
Yeah.
Where I don't care if you have little or a lot of money. It's what you do with what you have. Are you concerned? I think the greatest thing I learned was in the dollar store. The least important word is I. The most important word is we. And I'm concerned about we, concerned for others. And I think I've noticed in my healing, when I said, woe is me, I'm sick, I got worse. When I'm thinking, I'm helping others, even though it's difficult, I'm helping others, I'm getting better. And it's funny, it's counterintuitive, but you actually get healing by helping others healing. So I figure God is for someone else also. So when we're created in the image of God, therefore, when we help others, we're helping ourselves, I believe, very strongly.
No, very good. That's very good. How long did it take you to write the book?
It took me about 4 years, because during the time, like I say, I'm on disability from the Public Defender's Office right now, because at the time, my closest friend is from Uganda. His name is Protest Tinka, and he fought with me to say, you must take disability to save your job. And he gave me all the reasons why I should, and I gave him all the reasons why I should not. But as usual, he was right. And he's a brilliant man. He went to Oxford Law School. But the last 5 years I've been on disability, and there was a while I couldn't comprehend when I went in front of a judge. Now that I've also got to the point where I won the first case in Illinois. In fact, going to law school was a struggle. I went to John Marshall conditional program, and I barely got in law school. But I won the first case in Illinois, my first case. It was a murder case, and they excluded 5 African Americans. So the state has to give the reason why they excluded them. So they said they're teachers, and a teacher is a race-neutral reason. So the trial ensued, and he found guilty of murder, got 50 years. So I got the appeal, my first case, and they said no one's ever won, 100% of the cases. Well, don't tell that to me, Avi. I took a glass of water, and I said a trial is like a glass of water. It's got to be clean, it's got to be fair. And I said, I'm Jewish, they're African American, no one should be excluded based on race or religion.
Yeah, at this point we're really out of time. I want to thank you very much, Cary Berman, author of Genesis, Born with Tay-Sachs, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, and good luck in your endeavors.
Thank you very much.